sunrise over the waters of Aransas Bay. It is a chilly winter wind blowing in off the Gulf, but the harbor forecast calls for a clear day.
Good morning. Come on aboard.
The kind of day that gets folks out of bed early with great expectations of what they might see aboard the shallow water skiff called the Skimmer.
Okay, good. Tommy Moore. Good to see you, Bob.
Captain Tommy Moore is our host for this adventure. 6 years ago, he left his corporate career in Houston for this twice-daily excursion through the Bay Area wetlands of the Intercoastal Waterway and Rookery Islands near Blackjack Peninsula. The curious and the fanatical come from across the globe to ride along with him for 3 hours of the best water bird watching in the world.
Yeah, a good friend of mine calls them birdo maniacs. They come from all over the world. They're hitting all the hot spots in Texas to bird. Look out at 10 o'clock, there's an opening in the land masses at St. Charles Bay. And then at 10 o'clock now, you'll see a landmass with no buildings on it, and that is the Blackjack Peninsula, and that's the Aransas National Wildlife Refuge, and that's where we're headed.
Bring a keen eye and a long lens, and Tommy will show you a birder's paradise. Blackbirds and bobolinks, pelicans and peewees, eagles, herons, and hawks. Flocks from the most common to the exceedingly rare.
Got some bufflehead ducks flying behind the boat, headed for the rocks there. Got a long-billed curlew sitting on the base of the reef. If you look on the reef out in front of us, you'll see some American white pelicans. These are our migrant pelicans. They come from all points north and west. There's American avocets. Roseate spoonbills, 9 o'clock on the wing. There's also a black-bellied plover sitting over on the reef. San Jose Island whoopers dead ahead of us.
It's the rare one, the legendary and endangered whooping crane, that brings these folks here.
It's just such a majestic bird. They're so big. It's the things I never get tired of looking at are dolphins and whooping cranes. And it's such a great success story that you could help a species like that come back.
70 years ago, the whooper's hopes hung on a wing and a prayer. Their numbers dwindled to only 15 birds in existence. But thanks to places like this and to conservationists like Tommy and those who came before him, 270 of the birds are alive today.
Back in the late 30s, early 40s, they think that there was only about 2,500 to 3,000 of them. And back in those days, they were shooting birds. They were going onto the rookeries and shooting birds for their plumage. When you start shooting something that there's only about 2,500 of them, you're going to decimate them pretty well. I'm truly surprised that they were really able to save them with only 15 birds that were right here in Aransas in 1941.
15?
15 birds. And most of them were females.
The whooping cranes are so endangered that everything about them is monitored closely. The rule is that you cannot harass the birds, and you're not harassing them as long as you're not altering their activity. Even this close, you can see there's not a lot of activity altering going on. One of those conservationists who was instrumental in saving the whooping crane from extinction was Captain Ted Appel. Captain Ted was the first captain of the Skimmer. We met him on a cool winter day 22 years ago.
We need to protect them because our children need to be able to say, yes, I can go see a whooping crane. When you lose a species, it's gone. You cannot bring it back, it's over with.
We wondered if we would see Captain Ted today, and like a ghost from the sea, he appeared on the gangplank minutes before we pushed off on our tour.
Permission to come aboard, sir.
After he sold his boat to Tommy, Ted never returned to the waters of the bay. He'd heard we were here, and he wanted to see us and the whoopers one more time. Captain Ted, it's been more than 20 years since we were out here on the boat with you.
Yes, sir.
Is there any greater hope now for the whooping cranes than there was back then?
Well, my dad first started out, Captain Browning, there was only 18 birds. And when I came back from overseas and went to work with him, we had less than 30 whooping cranes. So to see what we've got today is unbelievable. You know, it looks like they might make it.
Still, for all the success, it's been a tough year. Drought, malnutrition, and predators have claimed at least 15 birds, and that's just the natural hazards. 24 hours a day, cargo ships and tankers carrying every manner of toxic chemicals sail through the middle of the only wild flock of whooping cranes in the world. But in spite of it all, this most majestic of birds is making a comeback. Do you two guys feel at all responsible for helping the efforts to save these whooping cranes? I mean, bringing people out here, making them aware. You, Captain Ted, and now you, Captain Tommy?
Certainly Captain Ted has. You know, he's definitely one of the pioneers in this business, and the fact that we get so many people out here to see them and raise the awareness, I think that's probably where my contribution lies.
You think you did something positive?
I hope I did. I can't say yes because it's still, yeah, we have done something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
we have done something, I guess.
Absolutely.
You know,
But I've been lucky enough to follow on his coattails.
This spring, the 270 whooping cranes living in the marshlands of the Aransas Wildlife Refuge will return to Canada, mate, hatch their chicks, and again make the long trip back to the Texas coast come November. Between now and then, Captain Tommy Moore will be here keeping watch over this delicate environment, giving tours and waiting for the return of one of the rarest creatures on Earth.
People can relate when they get this close to the whooping cranes as we do. We usually get within 100 yards of them and get to see them, watch them feed. They're, once again, just so majestic. They're so big and so impressive. The biggest thing that I like to do is show people something they've never seen before. That's just what makes me happy.